Okay, today's video is essentially about dead-end three-ways. Now, what's different about dead-end three-ways versus like your standard kind of three-way setup is that all of your connections are pretty much made in one J box, and it's typically where the load of some sort is going to be. So, in this case, I'm not gonna. I don't have like a box for a light, so we're gonna kind of do this with a receptacle. So we're gonna switch that with the three ways. So first, what I did was I took care of the ground of the box because it's metal. So we want to be able to pick up any fault current if a lead were to come loose. Now this is just what I had, just kind of for my setup. It's probably not going to look like this all the time, where you'll have EMT and Romex and a mix of plastic and metal boxes all over the place. But this is solely for demonstration purposes. Now, a few things to make note of when doing three ways so that you don't mess anything up is your line power that comes off of the breaker always goes to the common screw of your first three-way. So I'm gonna make this the first three-way in the system, and I'm gonna make this the second one. So pretty much our main power is coming in from this little 90 stub. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the black wire coming off of the circuit breaker, because that's exactly what it's coming off of, and I'm gonna send it. Now the reason I'm picking the white, which I'm gonna re-identify, is because with this we have to re-identify the white because we're not sending neutrals to any of the switch boxes, and via code I can't use the white conductor as my switch leg, my feed up to the light. I have to use it as the supply power. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to re-identify both of the whites in these pieces of Romex, just so that they're easily identifiable, and anybody who would ever work on this would know it is not a neutral conductor anymore. So what I'll do with that is I'll make that up, strip that, that taken care of. And that'll be our supply power. That'll be our supply power to our switches. Well, to the first switch. Excuse me. Now, that being said, neutral always goes directly to load. So that's going to be... that's going to go on a receptacle. Okay, so now... let's see. I'm going to use our black as the load to the as the switch leg to the load. So I'm going to put those to the side. Now we'll do here is that the travelers, it doesn't matter what happens with the travelers as long as you land the correct two wires on your common screws. So pretty much what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tie these two together. And call that a day. I don't have my lineman, so I'm not twisting these right now. It's not work that's gonna stay in somebody's house forever. So, all right, now I'm gonna take the reds. And I'll tie them together as well. Because now what happens, like, is this This traveler is gonna feed back up, and it's gonna hit that second switch that my arm is blocking. We'll put that to the side. And now we'll go ahead and we'll wire up that receptacle. So what I'll do is I'll strip that. Make good loops. All right. Now you always want your loop to bend in the direction that the screw tightens. If you do it in the opposite direction, like say you wrap it to where the hook is going counterclockwise, when you're turning your screw clockwise, it's actually loosening, so it's not making a good connection. So now we'll tighten that up. All right. We'll take this. All right, there we go. Stranded wire can be kind of a pain in the butt on devices at times, but it ends up working out in the long run. And then our ground. Now, because this device is going in a metal box, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tape it up so that if any of those terminals were to make contact with anything metal, or even make contact with, say, a bare ground wire or anything, it doesn't send a ground fault back to the panel. So that's why you tape this up. And if somebody has to service it in the future, when they go to remove it, they don't have to end up, fighting and troubleshooting, trying to find, where things tripped and where things went wrong at. Okay. All right. So our receptacle is installed. Got the industrial rise cover on and everything. So now let's move to the switch boxes. All right. So now onto the switch boxes. What I'm going to do is, like in the other box, I'm going to re-identify this white as a supply power. So it is now not a neutral, which it wasn't in the first place. It is an ungrounded hot conductor. So now anybody who goes into this box should be able to look at that and tell just that. So we'll do this for both. It's clearly identified. I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and strip and bend the hooks. All right. And in commercial, I haven't had to do three-way switches all the time. It's mainly kind of like lighting contactor panels and all of that, like lighting controls. But there will be times where you're gonna have to do this. This is a very specific situation. This kind of like dead end I think they call it a California three-way as well. It's not as common, mostly because a lot of places are gonna want you to have a neutral in the switch box, and with this way, there's no way to that. This way doesn't involve sending neutrals to the switch box. But I think by code now, you're actually required to put a neutral in at least one of your switch box locations. I want to say it's 404.2C. Quote me on that, but it's just what sticks in my head first. All right, so now I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take care of my grounds. As always try to get that done first. Alright. Ow. Alright, so now I decided I was going to use the re-identified white as my supply power. So that's going to go on the black screw, also known as the common. So like I said, the two wires that go on your common is your wire from the source, and the one that's going to end up going to load. So in this case, this is our first three-way, so this is what's coming off of the circuit breaker. So let's go ahead and get that connected. Alright. And now you can land the travelers anywhere you want. It does not matter where the travelers go at all. Three-ways do not have to be difficult at all. And they really are not. So now we'll put that other traveler here. Notice how I turned it to where the hook is going in this direction. I'm not going to wrap it this direction around the screw, because then I'll be loosening it, like I said earlier. You always go with the direction of the screw. Alright, so I showed you how to do one. So now I'm going to go ahead and screw the switches in, and then we'll go ahead and test. Alright, so now the switches are installed. I've got my outlet tester plugged into the outlet. So now we are going to see if our three-ways are going to function as they should. Alright, so we've got indicator lights. Now remember, three-ways, this is going to represent multiple locations. So let's say that this is a light in a hallway, and this is the polar opposite end to this. I'll turn this light on. I'll say I'm Susie, who's in this bedroom, and I want this light off because John is now asleep. Now I can. So there you go. There you have it. So that's the dead end or California three-way. At least I think. Don't quote me on the do quote me on the whole California three-way thing, because I do in fact think that that's what it's actually called. But you can call it a dead end three-way because imagine a road that stops and there's no way out. There's just one road. It stops. There's no further. It doesn't branch out any further. That's exactly what this looks like. This looks like two dead end roads. And all your connections are made at the load. So yeah, it ended up working just fine. So thanks for watching, and tune in for whatever the next one will be.